Hello, everybody. It's Dino here, and welcome back to Cinemax Studios Talk Show. Today, we're going to be talking about the twists. Now, as you know, every season of Cinemax Studios has some sort of custom twist that me and production come up with before the season. And so, I think what you guys might be interested in is how I come up with these twists and like my general thought process behind it. First off, before we go into that, why do I have a twist in Cinemax Studios? I mean, I could just do things based off of movies and have every single season be like pretty basic. But what I like to do is make sure every season of Cinemax Studios is immersive. And so by that I mean, as you know, every season of Cinematic Studios is related to some sort of theme of genre, movie or specific movies or whatever. And so, in order to really immerse the cast into that, I want to develop the twists to be kind of like an extra layer of add-on. So for example, the speech embargo twist of Renaissance is supposed to help immerse players into that kind of silent film era, which we'll talk about later. So I have three steps when I come up with twists for Cinemax Studios, and we're going to talk about each of them individually. So the first step I do is essentially determining the theme of the season. Before anything else, I need to determine what the season theme is going to be. Now, I mean this in a couple of different ways. So the first way and most obvious way is what type of genre is the season going to be? So like Renaissance um being silent films or Cornucopia being Hunger Games, etc., etc. But additionally to this, I will need to figure out kind of what I want the season to be about beyond the theme of the season. So what I mean by that is that I like to try and develop my twists in a way so that they challenge the player in whatever way they want to, whatever way I want it to be that risk or reward, lack of communication, lack of trust, etc., etc. Um, so again, I'm going to be using Renaissance a lot for this example or this episode, I guess, because I feel like it's the best one that follows my three-step method. So in step one, as I said, determining the theme, I knew I wanted to do silent films and silver screen era of movies. And so I wanted to do my twists to kind of reflect that. And a twist, and so the Renaissance era, as you know, is a lot of silent films, and so I wanted the twist to be kind of like to have something to do with communication. And so I had the idea of speech embargoes, where every single episode it'd make it harder for players to talk to each other based off these different embargoes. And so that is kind of determining the theme of the season and of the twists, because the theme of the twist is essentially how lack of communication might affects a player's game. Now, going into that, step two talks directly about gameplay. So by this I mean, how do we want to bring the twist and into the season and actually implement it? So an example of this is again for Renaissance. We already knew how we wanted the twist to go. We know we wanted it to be some sort of speech embargo, but we needed to find a way to enforce people to either follow it or to deter people from using it. And so that's where the idea of the point system came, where every episode that you followed the speech embargo, you would get an extra point, and whoever had the most points by merge was able to be entered into a raffle and to earn a powerful advantage, which again became the exile advantage for those who are curious. And so what this ended up being gameplay wise is you saw some players purposely go more inactive in order to try and to gain the advantage. And so this was kind of like a risk versus reward thing for them. Um, a prime example of this being Herbert, who obviously he got the advantage at the end, but he he barely talked to anybody, and so he was very like he was considered very inactive, and this is what eventually ended up putting a target on him and getting him out early into the merge. So basically, the whole thing revolved around different strategies of communication. Some people would try and follow them perfectly, while others would rather try and not follow them at all and just not worry about the advantage and instead focus on building up strong social bonds. So the final step of the twist formation process I follow is essentially break it. So what I mean by that is how do I like me in production will go over the twists after I've made the initial pitch for it, and we essentially go and test for whatever is wrong with the twist. So by that I mean like people could tell me that my ideas are stupid or like try and help me revise them to stop people from breaking the twist. Because there's no fun when people try and cheat and break the twist, right? So we need to make sure that it's basically essentially foolproof. Out of all the steps, this step is the one that takes the longest because of the fact that we want to be thorough with this. Because even if we do try and foolproof it, there's bound to be people who are going to be more crafty than us and try and break it as the season goes on. So yeah, that's my three-step process. And I guess that's all I really have to talk about with that for you guys today. It's a pretty short episode, but I don't really have a whole lot of time today. So I guess that's going to be it for today. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to this episode, and goodbye.